Discover how a peasant woman's life-changing love for a disabled man revealed his secret millions. Emma wiped her brow as the midday sun bore down on her battered farm. The earth under her nails and the sweat on her brow were badges of honor for the single mother navigating an arduous life in rural Missouri. With 2 children to care for, she put in long hours, her heart heavier than the load of hay she dragged into the barn. Yet, her dreams of a brighter future flickered just beneath the surface, never far from her thoughts, but always out of reach. In this small town, where whispers carried more weight than deeds, Emma was no stranger to judgment. She was tough as nails, yet tender-hearted beneath her rugged exterior. However, when the war hero Jack returned from overseas, forever changed by battle, he stirred something in her. Jack had once been the pride of their community, but now he was a recluse, his disability pushing him into shadows. Their paths crossed one sunny afternoon under the sprawling oak tree on her property, the place where most of her hopes flourished between shades of green and gold. Laughter brightened the air as they shared stories, her heart fluttering each time he smiled, revealing shadows of pain just behind his warm eyes. While the townsfolk looked on with a mix of scorn and disbelief, Emma saw the man behind the veteran's badge, an unrelenting spirit masked by layers of hurt. As they spent more time together, her feelings for him blossomed. The warmth of his laughter became a sentiment she dreaded to lose, but with it came the fear of unveiling the past. Their connection flourished even as the community simmered with old-fashioned notions about status and loyalty. It became evident their friendship, once simple, was now a treasure buried beneath judgment. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who is on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Just when Emma's heart began to dance toward love, she stumbled upon the truth. Jack was the heir to a considerable fortune, a legacy bogged down by shame and secrets. The community's judgment intensified, but Emma's faith in him only grew stronger. Her world twisted upside down. How could she love a man who carried such a burden while facing the scorn of their town? As Jack's health faltered, despair settled around Emma's heart. Did she dare risk the life she had built for her children? The weight of responsibility pressed down on her spirit as she fought the rising tide of rejection. Her heart wrestled with duty and hope, each beat a reminder of what they could lose if they didn't confront the storm surging around them. In moments of sheer vulnerability, they'd gaze into one another's eyes, visions of a future not yet mapped out but full of potential. Would love truly be enough to break down those age-old walls? As controversy closed in around them, the choice loomed heavy: stand together against a storm of whispers or buckle under the weight of societal rejection. The loose threads of fate began to weave a tale that could either bind them closer or rip them apart. Would they emerge on the other side, hand in hand, or would judgment drown their dreams forever? The fragile heartbeat of their story pulsed with unresolved tension as they stared down a future that demanded courage and provoked ultimate transformation. The days turned into weeks, and the weight of the town's judgment felt heavier than ever. Emma stood at the kitchen window one evening, the sun lowering behind the hills, casting a golden glow over the fields. Yet, instead of warmth, her heart felt icy. She could hear the whispers trailing in from the horizon, insults disguised as advice, doubts masked as concern. Each murmur wrapped itself around her like a vine, squeezing the hope from her chest. Jack's laughter had once filled her with joy, but now it came less frequently. The spark that lit his eyes dimmed under the heavy cloud of speculation. Emma knew she had to act, not just for herself, but for him. She decided to confront him about his past. The following afternoon, she found him sitting on his porch, the fading light wrapping around him like a shawl. She hesitated, her breath catching at the sight of him lost in thought. The shadows on his face deepened, reflecting a man too burdened by secrets to share in the light of day. "Jack," she called softly, stepping closer. "Can we talk?" At first, he looked up with apprehension, the lines on his forehead deepening. But then he nodded, and the smile that had once captured her heart flickered for a moment before extinguishing. As Emma took a seat beside him, she gathered the courage to ask, "Why do you hide from your past?" She could feel the weight of the question hang between them. She watched as his body tensed, the hesitant breath escaping his lips as he regarded her with tortured eyes. "It's not just my past," he replied slowly, each word heavily laden. "It's the shame attached to it." "Shame?" Emma frowned, leaning forward. "You're a hero, Jack. You fought for this country. You don't have to hide." He met her gaze, pain-flecked with vulnerability. "But I inherited wounds that run deeper than the scars on my body." His voice was raw. "The fortune meant to lift me from this burden is tainted for me. I never wanted it. I feel like a fraud for accepting it when all I've done is retreat." Emma felt her heart crack for him. Here he was, a man of valor, reduced to shame over something he hadn't chosen. She reached out, taking his hand in hers. The warmth flooded through her, a reminder of the hope they still had. "No one gets to define you, Jack. You are not your wealth or your wounds. You are much more than what they say." He looked at her, a flicker of hope sparking behind the dimness in his eyes. "And what if they never understand?" "We'll fight together," she stated with determination, squeezing his hand. "We'll show them. Stand with me, Jack. For us, for your children, for your legacy. Let them see the real you." Jack's shoulders relaxed slightly, as if the burden had lessened for just a moment. But uncertainty still lingered in the air, the shadows from the past were not easily cast aside. Would he accept her offer of love? Would he trust her enough to embrace his truth? In that fragile moment, hope mingled with trepidation. A new path lay before them, yet it shimmered with hesitance and doubt. They both knew the uphill battle that awaited. As dust settled around them, Emma wondered what the dawn would bring. Would they rise to meet it together? Would Jack take that step into the unknown, leaving his regrets behind? But the biggest question loomed larger than all the others: could love truly conquer the darkest of hurdles, or would it be another thorn in their side? With uncertainty hanging in the air, they faced a night filled with promise, but would morning reveal the awakening they both so desperately needed? The sun rose reluctantly the next day, shrouded in grey clouds that matched the heaviness in Emma's heart. She had hardly slept, tossing and turning, plagued by thoughts of Jack's pain and the weight of his past. As she prepared breakfast, the clattering of dishes felt louder than usual, echoing her unsettled thoughts. In the distance, she spotted Jack walking toward her house, his gait strong yet subdued, a man caught between two worlds. Emma's heart raced. Today was the day he would decide whether to embrace her hand or retreat back into his shell. "Morning," he said, attempting a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Morning," Emma replied, her voice soft yet steady. "I was just thinking, maybe we could go for a walk. Talk a little more." He hesitated. "I'm not sure there is anything left to say." "Let us talk anyway," Emma urged. "Please." He nodded, and they set off, his hand brushing against hers as they walked side by side. The world around them felt alive, the chirping birds, the rustling leaves. Yet, within Emma, shadows lingered, reminding her of the ghost that haunted Jack. They found themselves at the edge of the town, where the trees stood tall, a protective canopy overhead. They sat on a wooden bench, the scent of pine wrapping around them, offering a moment of quiet apart from the chaos of their lives. "Jack," Emma began, her voice trembling with hope. "I want to know your truth. Not the version that the town tells, but the real you. Let me in. His gaze wandered to the horizon, where the sky met the earth, as if he was searching for an escape. My life is complicated, Emma. It's messy. Then let's untangle it together, she pleaded, shifting closer. You've carried this alone for so long. Let me help. Just tell me what it is. Jack took a deep breath. It's not just my issues with the war. It's... He paused, collecting the thoughts swirling in his mind. I was raised to think that I had to accept everything thrown my way, no matter how burdensome it was. The fortune that came to me after the accident, it felt like a joke. A cruel one. Emma felt the sharpness of his words. But, Jack, you know that it could help so many people. Your life didn't end that day. You are still here, still breathing. You matter. But what they don't see, what they don't understand, is that the money feels like a betrayal to those who have less. His voice quivered, betraying the storm underneath. It's like I'm standing on a mountain, looking down while others struggle just to find shelter. Emma placed her hand on his leg, willing him to feel her support. You have the chance to change that. You can help them with the gifts you've been given. You could turn your pain into purpose. He looked at her, uncertainty mixing with admiration in his eyes, and she saw the flicker of something else, hope. Maybe, he whispered, almost to himself. The moment hung between them. They were at a crossroads, teetering on the edge of transformation. She wanted to pull him closer, to tell him that love could lead him to a brighter destination, but she also understood these were his burdens to bear. Just then, a child's laughter erupted nearby, slicing through the tension. Emma glanced toward the sound, watching a little girl coax her brother into flying a kite. Innocence and joy radiated between them. See? Emma said with a smile. There is still joy in simplicity. Jack followed her gaze, and a small smile crept onto his face. I want that. But I don't know how to get there. Here was the moment. You take the first step, Jack. You trust in us. In this, whatever we are building. He shifted, his eyes meeting hers, something softer blooming in the depths of his gaze. What if I trip? What if I fall? Then I'll be there to catch you, she promised, feeling the resolve set in her bones. But as they sat in that fragile moment of connection, Emma could sense the battle still raging within him. Would he take that leap of faith, or would fear pull him back into the shadows? As uncertainty loomed, she realized their journey was just beginning. Would they navigate the complex tapestry of his past, or would it unravel everything they hoped to become? The air around them shifted, thick with anticipation. A decision had to be made. What would fate lay at their feet? Jack shifted slightly, scratching the back of his neck as he looked down, deep in thought. Behind that stoic exterior lay an internal battle that seemed unrelenting. Emma watched him, heart pounding, desperate for him to find the courage to open up. She had seen glimmers of the man he could be, the kindness, the gentle humor hidden beneath layers of hurt. Jack, she said softly, trying to draw him back from the depths of his self-doubt. I believe in you. You may not see it right now, but you've got so much strength in you. You fought a war, didn't you? You can fight for your happiness too. He glanced at her, the flicker of confusion in his eyes mingling with something deeper, a twinge of yearning. You don't know what it's like to carry the weight of promises broken, of lives changed forever because of choices I made. Emma leaned in closer, their knees almost touching. But it's not just about the past. It's about what you do now, Jack. You have a choice. You can choose to live, to find a way forward. You don't have to keep punishing yourself. He sighed, the sound heavy and filled with unshed tears. Sometimes it feels easier to just retreat into myself. To hide from the world, to hide from you. Emma reached out and took his hand, her fingers interlacing with his. There was warmth in the simple act, a comfort that spoke more than words could convey. Jack, hiding one tea make the pain disappear. It'll just make you feel more isolated. The world needs your light, even if you can't see it yet. He looked down at their hands, the connection igniting a spark within him. What if I'm too broken to shine? She could see the fissures in his heart, the doubt that had seeped in over the years, but she also sensed the desire to break free from the chains. No one is perfect, Jack. We are all a little broken in our own way. That is what makes us human. It's what connects us. His eyes met hers, searching for reassurance. What if I fail? What if I try and it leads to disappointment? Then we pick ourselves up again, Emma replied, her voice unwavering. We keep trying. Together. No matter how many times it takes. There was a flicker of resolve in his gaze, but the shadows remained. She could feel the storm inside him, a mix of fear and leanings towards hope. The weight of his past loomed, casting a cloud over their budding connection. Just when Emma thought they were breaking through, a voice interrupted their delicate moment. Hey, Jack. I see you out here. It was Mike, his childhood friend, his grin wide like the sun breaking through clouds. Mike, Jack said, a noticeable tension snapping back into his posture. Mike approached, noticing the tension between them. What is going on? Looks like a serious talk. Emma felt a wave of frustration. This was their moment, one she was afraid would dissolve into the chaos of everyday life. She squeezed Jack's hand tighter, searching his eyes for encouragement. We were just, Jack began, but words failed him, and instead he released a long, deep breath. Mike's gaze darted between the two of them. Well, don't let me interrupt. Just thought I'd invite you to the community meeting tonight. There is some talk about ways to help those who've fallen on hard times. Maybe you'd be interested. Jack looked at Mike, and the frazzle of conflict returned. I don't know. Emma saw her opening. You should go, Jack. Here is a chance to be part of something bigger. To channel that energy into purpose. Jack's eyes softened, revealing a hint of the man who had fought not just wars, but also for a stronger community. Maybe, he murmured, but the battle within him was far from over. As Mike waved goodbye and walked away, the weight of anticipation settled back in. Emma turned to Jack and said, it's a start. Another step, right? For a moment, silence enveloped them, thick with the unsaid things between two hearts tangled in hope and hesitation. Jack's fingers slowly lifted, brushing Emma's cheek before pulling back as if he'd just realized their intimacy. Let us go home, he said, but there was a spark of determination in his voice. Together. That single word, together, sent a thrill through Emma. They faced many hurdles, but in that moment, she saw the potential for a future they could shape together, a future where Jack could embrace the man he was meant to become. But as they stood up from the bench, the shadows of doubt whispered around them. Would he find the courage to take action? And what lay waiting for them in their journey ahead? Emma walked beside Jack, the evening air crisp against her skin. The sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, but a shadow lingered within Jack. She could feel it, a heaviness that tugged at him. Are you all right? She asked, breaking the quiet that had settled between them. He nodded, his eyes focused on the ground. Just thinking. About the meeting. Emma prompted, hoping to nudge him toward that small opening she'd seen just moments before. I guess. I just don't know if I'm ready to put myself out there, Jack replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Ready or not, you are capable, Jack, she insisted. You've faced worse battles. This isn't just about you, it's about those who need someone like you. Jack stopped, and Emma turned to face him fully, the intensity of the moment drawing her in. What if I go there and realize I really can't do it? What if I fall flat on my face? Then you fall, but you get back up again, right? The conviction in her voice was palpable. You fought battles that would break many. This is simply another chance to show yourself what you're made of. A flicker of something, fear, maybe, but also hope flashed in his eyes. You make it sound so easy. Nothing is easy, Jack. But you have people beside you. I want you to fight for this, for you. He looked into her eyes, and for the first time that day, she saw a glimmer of the man he could become. You really believe I can do this? I do. Emma squeezed his hand gently, her heart racing. Beating yourself up won't change the past. But choosing to step forward can rewrite the future. Jack inhaled deeply. You make it sound like I'm a superhero or something. Well, maybe you are, in your own way, Emma replied with a warm smile. You don't have to wear a cape to make a difference. For a moment, they stood there, hand in hand, surrounded by the fading warmth of the day and the promise of something brighter ahead. Jack exhaled as if he were releasing that heavy weight he carried. All right. I'll go. I'll try. Great. Emma chirped, her excitement bubbling over. Let us grab some coffee first. We can go in together. Yeah, that sounds good. He looked at her, and she couldn't help but notice how the tension in his shoulders seemed to lessen. They turned to head towards the coffee shop, the sun now a sinking ball on the horizon. As they walked, Jack's thoughts churned within him. What if I meet someone there who? His voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping back into his chest. Who what? Emma pressed gently. Who actually needs my help? Jack looked down, the weight of expectation now reappearing. What if I can't give them what they need? Then you listen. And sometimes, just being there is enough. Emma's heart ached for him. He was still so consumed by the fear of failure, yet here they were, taking a step forward. They reached the coffee shop, the faint sounds of chatter and laughter spilling out into the street. Jack hesitated at the door, and Emma felt her pulse quicken. She squeezed his hand again, grounding him. All you need is to be you, Jack. The rest will follow. With a deep breath, he pushed the door open. The warmth of the cafe enveloped them, and Emma spotted a small group of people chatting and laughing together at a corner table. There was an inviting energy in the room, a feeling of community. After ordering their drinks, they found a small table against the wall. Jack seemed distracted, his gaze shifting toward the growing crowd. Suddenly, someone approached them. It was an older man, his face etched with memories of a past fight, just like Jack's. Excuse me, the man said, a spark of curiosity in his eyes. You look like someone who would know how to help. I need guidance. Emma held her breath, a realization settling inside of her. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the chance for Jack to feel needed. But as Jack met the man's gaze, she could see the internal struggle wrestling within him again. Would he rise to the challenge, or would the shadows of his doubts pull him back? The evening took a heavy turn, the air charged with uncertainty. Would Jack take that leap? Emma watched with a mixture of hope and apprehension, knowing the path ahead was anything but clear. What would Jack decide? Silence settled like a thick fog as the older man's words hung in the air. Jack stared back, caught in a maelstrom between fear and compassion. He clenched his fists, feeling the weight of expectation pressing down on him like a heavy anchor. Emma held her breath, squeezing her eyes shut for a fleeting moment. She couldn't help but think this was the moment they'd been waiting for. The moment Jack could finally begin to see himself as she saw him, capable and strong. Ah, what kind of guidance? Jack managed to stammer, his voice barely breaking the charged atmosphere. The man's expression softened. I've been lost for a while now. I just need someone to talk to, someone to help me navigate through this rough patch. The honesty in his voice struck Emma like lightning, awakening something deep inside her. Jack looked at Emma, searching for a hint of reassurance. She nodded slightly, her eyes wide with encouragement. Okay, all right, he sighed, his shoulders relaxing just a little. What is on your mind? The man sat down at their table, the air around them shifting as he began to share his story, the loss of his job, the struggles with loneliness, and how he felt invisible in a world that moved on without him. As the words flowed, Jackie's initial wall of doubt began to crumble. He listened intently, nodding along, even sharing bits of his own journey in return, revealing glimpses of his past battles that felt personal yet universal. The tension eased, and what began as an overwhelming fear transformed into a sense of connection. Emma watched, her heart swelling with pride. Jack was finding his voice. He wasn't just a listener, he was beginning to step into the role of a helper. The warmth of the coffee shop faded in the background, leaving just the three of them, bonded over shared struggles and a newfound camaraderie. Thank you, the man said, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. I didn't think anyone would understand. Sometimes, just knowing someone cares helps, Jack replied, a hint of confidence breaking through the uncertainty. As the conversation flowed, Emma couldn't help but marvel at Jack's transformation. He was no longer just a hesitant individual waiting for a sign. He was becoming an integral part of something bigger, a lifeline for someone in need. But as they wrapped up their conversation, the older man rose to leave, gratitude etched on his face. He turned to Jack and added, "You are stronger than you think. Don't forget that." With those words hanging in the air, Jack's eyes flickered with a mixture of pride and vulnerability. "I'll remember," he said quietly. But as the man stepped away, a new wave of doubt crashed over him. Would any of this last? Was this newfound clarity just a fleeting moment? Emma saw the worry flash across Jack's face again, and it tugged at her heart. "What is wrong?" she asked softly, her tone reassuring. "What if it was just luck? What if I failed him next time?" Jack shook his head, fear creeping back into his voice. "No one is perfect, Jack," Emma said, reaching across the table to grab his hand again. "What matters is that you tried, and that means you can continue to try." As he looked at her, the storm within him began to settle, but a new thought struck him. What if he wanted more than this? The taste of overcoming had ignited something deep within him, a craving not just for acceptance, but for significance. As they sat in that bustling cafe, Jack felt the fire of determination spark within him, but it ignited another question that hung in his mind with an urgency he couldn't ignore. What if there were more people out there who needed him? Emma saw the shift in his expression, the glimmer of truth dawning upon him. "What is it?" she asked gently. Maybe I should start something bigger. A group, a place where people can come together. But how do I even begin?" Jack's voice was thick with possibility and fear. The weight of the unknown loomed before them, but Emma could see the flicker of hope igniting in his soul. "Whatever you decide, we'll figure it out together." As they left the coffee shop, hand in hand, the path ahead was still shrouded in uncertainty. But Jack's heart raced at the thought of embracing this new mission. Would he take that leap and make a real difference? Emma walked beside him, feeling the excitement and apprehension pulsing through him. But the future was wide open, a canvas waiting for their brush strokes. And in that moment, Jack realized this was just the beginning. What would it take to turn his small spark into a raging fire of hope for others? The following days turned into a whirlwind of thoughts and ideas for Jack. Each morning began with a sense of purpose that felt foreign yet exhilarating. He had always been someone who followed others, but now he was ready to lead, even if he didn't know exactly where to begin. Emma stood firmly at his side, a steady force of encouragement. "Let us brainstorm," Emma said, sitting cross-legged on the floor of Jack's small living room, a notebook propped between them. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating their determined faces. Jack stared at the blank pages, his heart racing. "A support group sounds good. But what would I even call it?" "Maybe something simple, something inviting," Emma suggested. "Like Together We Rise or Finding Our Way. Those sound nice. But and I know this will sound silly, what if nobody comes?" Jack chewed on his nails, anxiety flickering like a candle flame. Emma reached out and placed her hand over his. "What if they do? Look at how far you've come already. You've got this, Jack." He felt the warmth of her hand seep into his worries. It ignited something inside him. If he could help just one person, like the man at the cafe, maybe that was enough to start with. They began to outline ideas. They discussed meeting places and potential activities, leaning into the excitement of possibility. As the sun traced paths across the room, time slipped away, and each idea pulled Jack closer to understanding who he could truly be. "Okay, how about we invite our friends first?" Emma suggested. "They can help spread the word. You know people, Jack. You're not alone in this. Right?" Jack's eyes brightened. "I could ask Ryan, and maybe Laura. They're supportive. If they believe in it, maybe others will too." Days turned into a week, and with every conversation, Jack felt the flutter of hope take root in his heart, the kind that made his stomach tingle with anticipation. Emma became his sounding board and inspiration, often challenging him to dream bigger. On a bright Saturday, they stood in front of a small community center, a space they had rented for the first meeting. The bright blue walls were bare and the chairs were set up in a circle, waiting. Doubts crept in again, whispering that maybe this was a mistake. "Jack?" Emma's soft voice broke through his haze of uncertainty. "You did this. You made it happen." But what if he hesitated, the fears rushing back, drowning out his excitement? There's no what if to this. You've got a chance to make a difference. Just look at those chairs. They represent people who might be yearning for something, for connection, for support. Like you were. Gazing at the empty chairs, Jack pictured each one filled. Each face could hold a unique story, a shared struggle. The community center became more than a space, it was the heartbeat of his aspirations. As the minutes ticked by, people began flowing in. Faces both familiar and new filled the room, and Jack's nerves morphed into something electrifying. Emma stood beside him, beaming with pride, silently assuring him every step of the way. "Welcome. Thank you all for coming." Jack's voice started strong but wavered slightly. Still, he pressed on. "This is our space to share, to grow, and to encourage each other." The room fell into a comfortable hush, and Jack's heart raced as he realized he was leading this group, stepping into a role he never imagined he could fulfill. But as Jack scanned the circle, he caught a glimpse of a shadow in the corner. A man sat apart from the rest, his demeanor closed off, eyes downcast. He seemed utterly lost. Jack felt inexplicably drawn to him. Would he be able to pull this man into the light? What if this moment turned out to be the most significant connection of the day? The thought echoed in Jack's mind, what if this was the moment he could truly change someone's life? As he opened his mouth to reach out, his pulse quickened, and the air felt electric. Would he take the leap? Would he dive deep into this unknown territory once more? Jack took a deep breath, stepping away from the podium. The moment stretched out, heavy with anticipation. Emma watched closely, her encouraging smile lighting up the room. He took another breath, grounding himself in the warmth of her presence. "Hey," he said, turning gently toward the man in the corner. "Would you like to share something with us?" The man, startled, lifted his head slightly. His eyes met Jack's but were quickly cast down again. Jack could see the weight of his burdens reflected in those weary eyes. It was a look he knew well, one that echoed his own past fears and insecurities. "It's okay. No pressure," Jack urged, feeling a quiet resolve building inside him. "We are all here to listen. It's a safe space." The man shifted uncomfortably, fingers fiddling with the hem of his shirt. After a long silence, he finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. I don't know why I came. I just felt so lost." Jack's heart ached for him. This wasn't just about words, it was about connection, about letting someone know they weren't alone in their struggles. "Sometimes just showing up is the bravest thing you can do," Jack said softly, trying to create a bridge between them. A flicker of interest sparked in the man's eyes. He hesitated, but Jack could sense a sliver of hope starting to emerge. "Why don't we start by sharing what brought us here today?" "It might help," Jack suggested, looking around the room. "I can start. I've been through some tough times, and I know how isolating it can feel. I just wanted to create a space for anyone who feels like they're on their own." Jack's voice steadied, and as he spoke about his own journey, he felt the energy in the room shift. He could almost see the walls of isolation breaking down as others began to nod in acknowledgement. One by one, people shared stories of heartache and resilience. A woman spoke about losing her job, a young man recounted his struggles with anxiety, and a teenager opened up about feeling different from his peers. Each story was raw, but they were met with nods and understanding glances, forming a tapestry of shared experience. Jack looked back at the man in the corner. Their eyes met again, and something shifted. A tiny flicker of courage sparked in that vulnerable gaze. By the end of the session, Jack felt a deep connection growing, not just with that man, but with everyone in the room. They were in this together, standing on the precipice of change. As the meeting wrapped up, Jack felt a swell of pride. People lingered afterward, chatting and exchanging numbers. It was as if a tiny seed of community had been planted. But as Jack approached the man, wanting to offer more support, he turned abruptly, heading toward the exit. Jack's heart sank. Had he failed to reach him? "Wait!" Jack called out. The man paused, though he didn't turn back. "You don't have to go alone. We all need someone to lean on." The man just stood there, shoulders tense, caught in a moment of indecision. Jack felt a mix of urgency and compassion. It was time to dig deeper. "Please, come back. You're not as alone as you think," Jack urged, wondering if he had the power to help this frightened soul take a step forward. Just as the man hesitated, about to turn back, something shifted in his posture. It was as if he had made a choice within himself. Would he face the light? Would the connection finally be forged? Jack's heart raced, anticipation mingling with hope. He knew the risk, the possibility of rejection, but what if this moment changed everything for both of them? In that silent, charged moment, everything hung in the balance. What would he choose? The man stood still, his back turned, and Jack sensed the anxiety vibrating off him. Moments stretched, and Jack's heart pounded in his chest. It felt like life hung in the balance, a cliff with no clear footing. Fear mixed with a small flame of hope, igniting something in Jack. "Look," he continued, voice steady. "I know it's hard to speak up. But I promise you're in a safe place. We've all been lost. Just take it one step at a time." For a heartbeat longer, the man remained motionless. Jack held his breath, feeling the anticipation wash over him. He shifted from one foot to the other, wishing he could somehow breach the invisible gap between them. Then, Slowly, the man turned. Hesitant eyes met Jack's. I can't do this. Why not? Jack asked, his heart aching at the sight of that pain. Sometimes sharing is the strength we didn't know we had until we do it. I've never really talked about my struggles, the man said, his voice wavering. I don't even know where to start. Jack nodded, encouragingly, feeling the momentum of hope swell again. That's okay. Just say what's on your heart, however small it feels. You can start with anything. We're listening. The man's eyes flickered with doubt. What if I sound stupid? Jack shook his head. You want to sound stupid. We're not here to judge. Only to understand. Everyone's story matters, including yours. Silence filled the room as the man seemed to wrestle with himself. But the other attendees were watching closely, their silent support palpable. One of the women earlier had wiped tears away after sharing her own story of loss. And it brought them all closer, revealing their shared humanity. The man's shoulders drooped, and he finally took a deep breath, words trembling. I lost my family a few years back. I just feel so alone. They were everything to me. It was like the weight of his world tumbled out of his mouth. Jack felt sadness mingle with a sense of urgency as the man's voice began to rise with each honesty-filled word. I tried to rebuild. I moved here, trying to start over. But it's like I'm stuck, like I'm living in someone else's life and don't belong. Jack felt an emotional connection weaving through the room. You belong here. We are all going through different battles. But we're together in this fight. As the man's eyes filled with tears, the room drew closer, collectively taking in the shared pain. Jack saw vulnerability chipping away at the protective walls surrounding the man's heart. It was beautiful and heart-wrenching all at once. More stories poured out. Jack looked around, seeing every face, absorbing every story. This was community. This was healing. It wasn't just about him or the man, it was about all of them, sharing their fears and hopes, bringing pieces of themselves forward. As the meeting wrapped up, Jack felt that familiar swell of pride. People were exchanging smiles, numbers, promises to meet again. It was a small glimmer of a new beginning, a tentative but solid seed planted in the soil of understanding. Jack noticed the weight, the lingering silence as he approached the man again. This time, the man met his gaze, though the emotional storm was still swirling behind those eyes. Remember, Jack said softly, you're not alone in this anymore. We'll figure it out, together. The man nodded slowly, a flicker of acknowledgement. But just then, his phone buzzed in his pocket, and he glanced down, brow furrowing. What is it? Jack asked, sensing something change. The man looked up, his face suddenly wrought with concern. It's my sister, she needs me. Jack felt his heart race again, torn between the man's need to leave and the bond they had just started to form. Can we talk later? Please, let us not let today be the last time we connect. The man hesitated, pulse quickening, thoughts racing. Could he really step away again, or was this the moment he needed to seize? Jack held his breath, hoping more than ever that the man would choose connection over fear, that perhaps this tiny light between them could shine even brighter if he embraced it. The man's phone buzzed. Again, cutting through the fragile silence. Would he turn back now, or would he let the opportunity slip away? Jack watched as the man's expression shifted, uncertainty etched across his face, and he could feel a pang of desperation pulling at his heartstrings. A sister in need, a family. It tied back to everything they had just talked about. The man stood at the crossroads of his emotions, and Jack knew he had to encourage him, to help him see this wasn't just another moment to let slip through his fingers. Look, Jack said, voice steady and calming, I know you have a lot going on. But this was a small step towards something better for you. You've already overcome hurdles to be here. You matter, your feelings matter, and this place can be a part of the healing you need. It can be your support network. The man fidgeted as he hesitated, caught in thought between duty and the chance to share vulnerability. Jack's heart raced faster with hope that the bond they had just started to form wouldn't be severed before it began. But what if I can't be there for them? The man whispered, openly wrestling with his fears. What if I'm not enough? None of us really know if we're enough until we try, Jack replied gently, trying to wrap his words in warmth. We are all just doing our best, step by step. And you know what? This doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing deal. You can still be there for your sister and be here too. You deserve support now just as much as she does. Tears welled in the man's eyes. He seemed to be looking beyond just Jack, past the walls he had built. I didn't think there were places where people were willing to listen to me share my troubles, he admitted, a tremor in his voice. Jack nodded slowly, letting the weight of their conversation settle, faced with the reality that each person carried a world of burdens beneath the surface. You don't have to walk through this alone anymore. You've already taken a brave step by coming here. The man's phone buzzed once more, a reminder of the urgency waiting outside their makeshift safe space. His grip tightened on the device, fingers trembling, eyes darting between it and Jack's encouraging gaze. The tension hung in the air, thick with the weight of decision. Please talk to her, Jack urged softly. But also, will you promise to come back? Whether it's next week or the week after. We need people like you. And there it was, the most vulnerable moment of all sewn into the fabric of their meeting. The man turned away, gazing into the gathering shadows just outside the door, which seemed to mirror the uncertainty in his heart. Finally, he nodded slowly, though reluctant. I'll promise to come back, he whispered, conviction breaking through the chaos within. Jack couldn't help but feel a swell of optimism. Wonderful, Jack replied, relief flooding through him. You'll find the strength you need. Just know you're not alone anymore. With one last look shared between them, the man slipped out of the center, leaving a warmth of promise swirling with the cool air. Jack stood still, feeling gratitude wash over him. He turned to see Emma watching from the corner, her smile illuminating the dim room. You did great, Jack. You really reached him. I just wanted him to know he wasn't alone. His words resonated, reverberating in the stillness of their surroundings. He could feel connection growing around him. It was bigger than he had anticipated. A new reality began taking shape. As the days moved forward, Jack continued to feel the light grow brighter around him. He started to understand that this journey wasn't solely about confronting his past, it was about embracing a new narrative, not just for himself, but for everyone who waded through the waters of loneliness. Their community meetings blossomed, bringing together even more souls searching for connection and understanding. Each session renewed hope and purpose, as Jack witnessed the transformations not only in himself but in the lives others led. Their stories wove together a tapestry of resilience and fading fears, emboldening one another in their shared vulnerability. No longer was he the man haunted by his past, he was a beacon of encouragement for those willing to step into the light. Time and again, he marveled as people left the meetings not just recalling struggles but also embracing newfound strength, the all-essential reminder that what they shared mattered. One particularly bright Saturday, as laughter echoed through the community center, Jack caught Emma's eye from across the room. She was speaking with another attendee, her radiant energy infusing every corner. A radiance lit up within him. He was no longer just fighting his battles, he was helping others to conquer their own. It was in that moment, surrounded by warmth and connectedness, that Jack understood the profound truth he had sought for so long: love was indeed the greatest transformation of all. Together, Emma and Jack were a part of a greater story, an unfolding tale of healing, courage, and unwavering support. He took a deep breath, a smile breaking on his face. Jack leaned back, embracing the joy found in the heart of community, in a life lived fully, together. An exhilarating gust of wind swept through, carrying in a fresh wave of souls one step closer to rewriting lives and reconnecting bonds buried among shadows. They were here for each other now, solid and entwined. Jack glanced at Emma, who returned the smile, both of them knowing the journey of love and transformation stretched far beyond this moment. The past lessons echoed in their bones while their hearts danced with anticipation for all the tomorrows to come. The sun streamed through the windows, casting golden rays upon the gathering. Jack felt an overwhelming wave of gratitude as he whispered to himself, fully aware of the lives they would touch. This was only the beginning. Emma walked toward him, her presence electric. "Are you ready for the next journey?" she asked. "More than ever," Jack replied, knowing that love had the power to redefine all that lay ahead. And in that moment, a family was woven anew, rooted in love, forged in community, and now ready to inspire a world beyond their own. Remember, folks, this is just the beginning. Don't miss out on our next adventures. You need to subscribe right now for more inspiring stories. Leave a like now because every click helps support our community, and we want to keep this positive energy flowing. Comment below with your feelings about this transformation and let us know how you found strength in your journeys. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who also need to experience this uplifting change. Your support matters. Together, we can touch more hearts and create a ripple of transformation in the world.